Hello and welcome to IMDB's Worst 100.
Today we're looking at number 91, Troll 2.
So, if you're a fan of bad movies, you've almost definitely seen Troll 2.
We've seen it more than once.
It's pretty legendary, and there's even a documentary about it called The Best Worst Film Ever. We should actually probably mention that the fact that it's called Troll 2, but it actually doesn't have trolls in it, it's just goblins. Let's just dive straight into the video. It's all about a family, basically. They are going to go on holiday to a place called Nilbog, which is a small town with only 26 people in it. But the son, Joshua, is pretty worried about going there because he keeps seeing his dead Grandpa Seth, and the grandpa is telling him that he shouldn't go on the holiday because if he does, the goblins will eat him.
This is a bad place, little one.
They go on the holiday because no one listens to Joshua, and when they get there, everything's a bit creepy. But also on the holiday is the sister's boyfriend and his friends. So the sister's called Holly, and she sort of thinks that her boyfriend isn't committed enough. She sort of was like, well, you should come on the holiday. And he goes, but he also brings his friends, and they stay in a camper van. So the friends are all there, and one of them kind of ends up stumbling across the goblins whilst out for a walk in the woods, and stuff goes pretty crazy.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my God!
The family's still completely unaware. And then Joshua makes a sudden realisation, which is that Nilbog is goblin spelt backwards. The family still don't think that that's suspicious enough, and all of the townsfolk, who are actually secretly goblins, but they look like normal people, but then they turn into goblins, they come round their house to throw them a party. Now, the reason they do this, and the reason the goblins do all of these things, is because the goblins are actually vegetarians, so they can't eat meat. To eat the people, they need to turn them into vegetables, and they do this by feeding you their food, and if you eat their food, you turn into vegetables, and then you get eaten. They've thrown this party for the family, trying to get them to eat the food, like, hey, eat some food. Joshua's obviously trying to stop them, and he goes to his room and he prays for Grandpa Seth to come out and help them.
Grandpa!
He kind of does this weird toothy grin and he holds up a Molotov cocktail and a fire extinguisher. It's just like, this is my plan. But it kind of backfires because one of the goblin men kind of grabs the Molotov cocktail off him and banishes Grandpa Seth to hell. But just before Grandpa Seth gets banished, he sets the goblin guy on fire, which reveals his true goblin form, and the family all realise, oh shit, there were goblins all along. They hide in the house, and all the goblins are outside, just not really doing very much. So they're like, what are we going to do about this? So, of course...
Grandpa Seth is dead.
I know he's dead, but up till now he's been the one helping us. But how do we get him to come? By holding a seance, maybe? You're a genius, big sister!
Grandpa Seth comes back. Him and Josh go to the house of the Witch of the Goblins, where is located the source of their power, which is a magic stone from Stonehenge. Joshua is given a double-decker bologna sandwich by Grandpa Seth.
A double-decker bologna sandwich! About the cholesterol!
And that somehow destroys all of the goblins, and it's technically a happy ending because the family go home and everything is fine. What was your reaction when you first saw this film? Can you remember what you first thought of it?
Yeah, pretty much, I think. Declan was actually the one who showed me this film quite soon after we started going out, actually. It is completely bizarre. For me, it's not like one bit in it that isn't funny. You know, it works the whole way through. I knew he was a keeper after that one.
You kind of want to just constantly pause it and just be like, what is that acting?
Why did they write that like that?
Row, row, row your boat gently down a stream.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
How it got made is just unbelievable, isn't it, almost?
I think it was created by a director who really was passionate about making it. Like, he, to this day, refuses to admit it's a bad film.
Che su cose molto gravi, molto importanti, come mangiare, vivere.
I mean,
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. So,
I think
it
it's
is
got
a work of
passion
art.
in it. Yeah.
It is in its way.
It's certainly got a bit of flair.
You can't really fault it for what it is. It's a bad movie and it achieves everything of a bad movie, doesn't it? So, yeah. Kind of a hard question because there's so many options. But what would you say is the most bizarre moment?
The first thing that comes to mind is the scene where the family have just arrived at Nilbog and they're about to eat some food that's been left out for them. Grandpa Seth appears and is like, Joshua, you can't let them eat the food. If they eat the food, they'll get eaten by the goblins. And he freezes time. Poor little Joshua has a few seconds to work out how he's going to stop the family from eating the food. And so he ends up standing up on the table and just pissing on the food.
I must do it!
It's just, of all the things, I think he had 30 seconds. He could have chucked that food out the window, but he just pissed on it. It makes absolutely no sense. And you know, I think that even more bizarrely afterwards, it's quite how well everyone took it. I mean, the sister was scraping the food off the plate into the bin. The mum was like, "Oh, don't smack him." And then the dad the dad told him off, but not really that much.
Oh, he got a lecture from the dad.
What are you going to do to me, Daddy?
Tightening my belt by one loop so I don't feel hunger pains.
It makes sense. He pissed on the food. Surely anyone would get in trouble a little bit for that.
Because of the fact that the freeze, when they freeze time, it's the actual actors they're just trying to be standing really still, and you can see that they're doing a pretty good job, to be fair.
It's not bad,
but they're slightly, moving a little bit. You can see, like, the drinks shaking a little bit. That's just funny on its own. But then the fact that he's just pisses. There's loads of weird bits, isn't there? There's the corn on the cob scene.
The witch goblin lady does some weird spell thing and turns into like a sort of, I think, like a younger version of herself. And then she goes to see the only guy that's still in the caravan from the boys' holiday bit, appears on his TV holding corn on the cob. I don't even know why she's gone there. Apparently there's a reason.
It doesn't really connect to anything.
No. She seduces him and then puts the corn on the cob between their mouths. He said he likes popcorn, and then suddenly it pops and the room is filling with popcorn.
You can just see it's just loads of popcorn is being thrown at them from off camera.
It looks awful though, because he's like, when they sort of come back to that scene, he's like spitting it out, and it must have genuinely been really horrible. That stuff is dry.
There's something about this scene that I've always meant to look up. I'm sorry, I don't know if you know this or not. Is popcorn made out of sweet corn?
I don't know. I thought it was just me.
Is popcorn made out of sweet corn?
I thought it was just me who wondered that, but maybe it's dried and then.
Just never really understood the link between the sweet corn on the cob
and the popcorn. I thought it was just me. I didn't want to ask you.
Oh,
I'm glad you.
Well, there we go.
What do you think it is about this film that makes it so bad it's good?
I think it's the weirdness and the wackiness. The goblin costumes are funny. And I don't think that they're very successful in getting a very horrifying feel to them. You can't really suspend your disbelief and get into the story because there's too much like stuff going on that makes no sense, or the acting's so bad. Half the time they're delivering the lines like it's the first read of it, and they're not even hitting the right emphasis.
Okay, I'll tell my father that you're coming with us tomorrow.
It's a medley of the things, really, isn't it? I think everything just is so in sync in its badness, isn't it? It doesn't drag in any parts, which really helps. I feel like it kind of keeps moving.
Short runtime helps, I think.
The sort of pacing of it. I'm so glad there's lots of the goblins in it because they are so funny. Sometimes, with these sort of films of like monsters and stuff, you don't actually see them very much, but this film delights you with, you see them instantly from the beginning and they are in the whole thing.
Because I think they've only got about 12 or so masks, so you see the same mask over and over again.
Oh, you recognise it, don't you?
I love the one with the massive yellow eyes.
Oh, he's the one that's... As well, I just think there's a real sense of fun to it. Everyone involved was enjoying themselves. I mean, you couldn't have not had fun. Imagine being on that set, taking the piss. But they're not, I guess, is the point.
I don't think they are. I think that's actually... I think they're really trying hard to make a good film, and is ultimately what makes it so good, is that they tried. Well, what do you think was the worst acting in the film, or who was the worst actor?
The guy who turns into the plant pot, I mean, he's top-notch bad, isn't he?
Get out of here, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
I don't know, I guess you've got him who's like the wooden side of the bad acting, but then you do have like the bizarrely over-the-top acting, like the witch goblin lady.
Yeah.
My ancestors came from Stonehenge.
But she was really going for it. I kind of like admire her for that. Do you know what I mean? She was like, no stopping her. Holly, just as her line delivery was just unbelievable, wasn't it?
If my father discovers you here, he'd cut off your little nuts and eat them.
Paired with the fact that she just got some complete bizarre script.
It was actually impressive how bad she was. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to be seriously talented at being bad
Yeah.
to be that bad.
I don't understand.
Do you understand now?
The goblins, when they're in their human form,
Oh.
they're constantly very over-the-top evil. Your whole plan relies on getting them to eat the food, and actually it's not that hard to get someone to eat some food, but maybe just tone down the melodramatic evil for a
Yeah.
second. Like,
All the creepy as well.
Yeah.
Very creepy, weren't they? I mean, that bit where they were in the house and they were like...
clapping out the
They've
time.
literally seen, they're like, I don't want to eat this. They were not going to eat that, were they? No wonder, literally like...
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not creepy, it's incredibly awkward
Yeah.
to have a room full of people clapping and watching you while you
Yeah.
tuck into the food. Could anyone be scared by this film, do you think?
Yeah, I think children would be quite scared by the goblins. Bits where they zoom in on their mouths and they've got like the green and the
Yeah.
tongue and the weird teeth.
But they are more creepy than scary, I'd say. You always see them in bright light.
Yeah,
It
but
just-
for a child, that's scary, I think. When I was a kid, I'd shit myself for anything. It's hard to, I think, when you're younger to differentiate between something that's just really shit
Yeah.
and something that's like quite weird, scary, I think. when you're
Yeah.
little, isn't
No, I
it?
get that. I think The Witch would have been quite scary as a sort of like...
Yeah.
Maybe it should have been for children. But then we wouldn't
Aiming
have had
for-
what we got. And
No.
that's perfect in every way. So I've got this theory that actually makes Troll 2 and the story of it make sense, okay? Grandpa Seth is evil, and the entire plot of the film is basically just Grandpa Seth fucking with Joshua. This is my key bit of evidence here. When the goblin banishes him, he says, "I'm sending you back to hell." I.e., he's come from hell. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's too sophisticated for this film, but maybe that's why he was saying it's genius, the director or whatever.
It is, exactly. The director knows, everyone else has missed it, they think it's a bad film. Idiots. Actually, it's genius. Troll 2 is a genius film with an underlying plot that no one gets except me.
Film importante, parla della famiglia, dell'unione di una famiglia. People want to eat this family. In Italia diciamo una parabola.
She's crossing it off! And then she's gonna cross me off! Oh my god!
Okay, well, that was Troll 2, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should, because it's
Definitely.
hilarious.
We've deliberately not talked about some stuff and try to keep it a bit brief. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share it if you want to share it. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.